To the Scarlets team, and the new captain is hooker Ken Owens. At number 8, Rory Pittman has impressed pre-season. Pittman a new signing, but cornerstone tight head Samson Lee is suspended, so Rodri Jones comes in there. To the back line, no Jonathan Davis, he's gone to Clermont, but what an exciting centre pairing of Regan King and Scott Williams. New signing Harry Robinson is on the right wing, and scrum half Gareth Davis was the Celtic League's top try scorer last season. Well, due to the Irish player management scheme, some luminaries are missing from the Ulster team, but still a powerful lineup. Groundhog Chris Henry is in an all-international back row. Roger Wilson is the captain. The freshly acquired South Africans Vian Herbst and Franco van der Merwe both start. In the backs, Joe Schmidt will be microscoping the new Irish qualified Jared Payne. Ireland have a wee gap at 13. Stuart Olding is back after long-term injury, and Ian Humphreys begins his third spell at Ulster. Another South African signing, Louis Ludik, is at full-back.
Might well have been a summer of upheaval, as Alex said in the studio earlier on, for Ulster, but there's still quality and abundance in this side, and even with the loss of key personnel both on and off the field, there is still a level of ambition and expectation on this Ulster side, and the man tasked with delivering on that is Les Kisson. He's with Will at Pitside.
Les, a well-documented summer of change for Ulster. What have you worked on out on the paddock to create stability and confidence, and with that a chance of victory today?
Well, I think the real challenge was for them to think really positive about their consistency in their game from game to game. So we've just worked on making sure the basics are in place. They have a lot of things in their game that they should be very confident with from last year. So leaning on a lot of that experience, but a lot of changes in the forward pack. So we'll see how that comes up today. Thank you. Thanks, Les.
Yeah, when you look at the Scarlets side, changes there, but on a far more sedate pace with Wayne Pivac coming on board. And on the back of the optimism and relief of the new rugby services agreement, Scarlets want to build on a solid showing last year, and perhaps a brand new philosophy as well. And the Wayne Pivac, and he's also with Will up its side. And the players that are jogging out. Lost the likes of Jonathan Davis, but with Regan King and Scott Williams in midfield, outside Reece Priestson and Gareth Davis, who impressed on the South African tour as well. So much talent, so much enthusiasm in that backline, and ability to beat people on this playing surface here. A wonderful playing surface at Parker Scarlets. If they can marry up what was an improved showing in the set piece and the scrum with the likes of Rodri Jones as well, and that tight head, they need to marry up. They'll find the equilibrium in the type of rugby, and Wayne Pivac is now and got eventually alongside Will on pitch side.
Wayne was just delivering his final words to his team before they ran out for game one. What were those words to your team, Wayne?
Oh, it's about composure, making sure that we're disciplined. Obviously, the start of the game, the start's really, really important to us. Big occasion playing at home, and the start is paramount.
And what are the non-negotiables for you in the first 10 minutes?
Oh, silly penalties. We've just got to make sure that we're at the right end of the field to start the game.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, mate.
And our man in the middle is a very experienced man, an Irishman, Peter Fitzgibbon, who has refereed 10 international games. The rest of his officials are all Welsh, so a nice little bit of Celtic balance. Sparkly, shining, glistening this Pro 12 season in terms of Sky Sports, that is. It is now launched. A couple of games last night, including a home defeat for Munster. Ulster determined to come away from the Scarlets with an away win tonight. Scarlets, they had their moments of real pomp last season. Away wins at Quins and Racing Metro in Europe, and wins against Pro 12 semi-finalists Ulster and Munster in the league. But the Welsh, like Ulster, have been associated with change and upheaval, and there's a real focal point. Jared Payne in that number 13 shirt. On the Argentina tour this summer, it was Darren Cave and Fergus McFadden. Will it be Robbie Henshaw going forward? Perhaps Keith Earls, perhaps Luke Fitzgerald. He is in the mix.
Advantage.
There's an early knock on from the Scarlets. The advantage here is Payne. And this is Ulster ball through Craig Gilroy. Big season for Gilroy, has endured a rather fallow phase after bursting onto the scene early on. Paul Marshall to Ian Humphreys. And it's Olding who gives the ball away to Michael Tangi Thakibar on that left wing, the man who's had 2 spells at Saracens. Scarlets scrum half, Gareth Davis, because he's a real try scorer, double figures last season. Scott Williams with the chip through. It's bounced well for the Scarlets, and Scott Williams almost capitalising there. 2 really impressive looking centre pairings here today. Stuart Olding and Jared Payne.
Good turnover,
and for the Scarlets, Regan King and Scott Williams. And off goes Gareth Davis down that blind side, where there is a little bit of room. And the tackle was made by Michael Allen.
Well, Gareth Davis will always be a threat. We saw that on the South African tour as well.
And straight away you can see that the Scarlets are trying to deploy the width. And Harry Robinson on his competitive debut. That is a Scarlet sparkler.
Lots of turnover ball, both sides guilty of some errors, but Scarlets are able to capitalise on that one with the width and the quality of the passes as well. But a lot of that came about because of a really strong defensive press from the Scarlets. They really pressed up well, and that forced the turnover. The interception from Taki Thakibar. Good press, aggressive press. McCusker very much at the forefront of that. So Byron Haywood's been brought in to bring that aspect. At times last season, Scarlets were very pedestrian in a defensive line. That created the overlap and the opportunity to go wide. Good, terrific handling ability then to put Harry Robinson out wide. Good finish by him. Well,
if the Scarlets are going to go anywhere this season and improve on their 6th, Williams is going to have a huge role. Not just, I think, pushing Roberts in the Welsh jersey, but leading from the front with this Scarlets jersey. Outstanding play from him, as always. And you pick up on that press. Tangi Thakibar, so used to the Saracens outside in blitz. He's just stepped straight into that system, picks up the intercept. 2 phases later, great try.
And Rhys Priestland, who was out very early today kicking, he is carrying a little bit of a niggle, a man who has been plagued with several serious injuries over his career. But he's starting, and he's a very experienced Pro 12er. 660 points to his name in the Pro 12. Make that 662. The start is perfect. And you have to say, the start for Sky's Pro 12 coverage is perfect as well.
Well, the playing surface is absolutely splendid down here. And if the Scarlets want to play with that width that Jan wants the Scarlets to play with, then it's just absolutely perfect conditions. Harry Robinson couldn't have asked for a better start.
Backwards!
Well, Rory Pittman has been involved in a couple of fumbles so far. He was man of the match in the Scarlets' last pre-season game against Gloucester. Here is Louis Ludick. Lot expected of him. 3 Currie Cup finals. He's played in a Super 15 final as well for the Sharks, signed from Agen. This is Dan Tuohy, an old hand in the Ulster shirt, alongside his new second row partner, Franco van der Merwe, who is in to replace the almost irreplaceable Johan Muller. How do you fill those boots, socks, shorts and shirt of Johan, the captain? Here is Ian Humphreys. He's dancing through. And the support is there from Louis Ludick. And it's Craig Gilroy off that left wing. And there's a suggestion of a forward pass in that movement by Ulster, but play goes on here. In goes Gilroy once more, and it's Dan Tuohy using that bulk on that blind side. Franco van der Merwe. Will he be the new Muller? Will he be as good as Muller? Now Chris Henry. Tremendous groundhog in an Ulster and an Irish shirt. But there was some crossing and obstruction there, and the penalty, it goes to the Scarlets.
Looked a little harsh there, Robbo. Didn't look like a cross. Both 2 lads ran into each other, but not a penalty. But Humphreys has been brought back over here. His brother's gone one way over to Gloucester to look after that. He's come back to Ulster, and he's a cracking fly-half when he's got the ball in his 2 hands. Always in 2 hands. Very similar to Aaron Cruden. Takes defences on, has options inside and out, and happy to go himself.
I've seen us attack the game, like draw players on, and that time identified 2 forwards, exploited a bit of fractured defence. It's not going to be a recur, but especially at this time of the season, there's a bit of lack of communication at times, a little bit sometimes of over-eagerness. And he's done that from Rory Pickman a couple of times in the game so far. Very eager to impress, and sometimes you've got to channel that enthusiasm.
No Paddy Jackson today due to the Irish player management rotation system, but he's also just recovering from a stress fracture to the back, which apparently was partly down to his kicking style, which is a little bit of a worry for the man so young, and the man who would step into Johnny Sexton's shirt for Ireland should he not recover from the broken jaw he picked up last week playing for Racing Metro. Here is Priestland now and Regan King, the sublime Regan King in midfield again for the Scarlets, returning from Clermont. Here's McCusker. Gareth Davis, Johan Schneemann, lots of South Africans on the field. I noticed them in a huddle before kick-off having a little bit of a chat, probably in Afrikaans. No. Peter Fitzgibbon gives the penalty on halfway in perfect conditions, not releasing, and I wonder will Ian Humphreys have the strength in those quads to go for the points from here.
Whilst Humphreys does have a decision to go for a penalty, he's decided not to. But it's quite interesting, we talk about Ian Humphreys' ball in hand. One of the challenges they have is that Ian Humphreys is not the greatest defender at fly half, and when he was at London Irish they hid him and they hired him a blindside wing. It seems Ulster are adopting that as well. As it goes wide here, you just see him bottom left hand corner of your screen. Fly half should be up in the line defending, but Ulster, I think, like London Irish, have decided he's better off as a sweeper.
Well, he saw also there's evidence the type of style Peter wants from the Scarlet side. Go wide and then attack the midfield with the big boys in the middle of the field to drive the next phase on.
Good take by Franco van der Merwe in the side for his driving work, but also for his line-out work. Callum Black taking it on. The Ulster captain today is Roger Wilson, over 100 games for Northampton and Ulster, played in 3 finals for the Saints in a spell at Franklin's Gardens. Here is Marshall now, and it's Stuart Olding back after 10 months out, knee reconstruction. Robbie Dyack, who made his Irish debut in the Argentina tour. Now it's Paul Marshall. This is really good work from Ulster, going through the phases impressively and making yardage all the time, gains all the time, and that's the ultimate gain, of course, is the try at the end of it. And the try scorer is the new man, Franco van der Merwe.
Terrific try by Ulster. Went through the phases, made good yardage, yards after the tackle, made securing the next phase of possession very easy. The options are open for Paul Marshall now to pick runner after runner. They really stretch this defence. What I like about this makeup of the back row with Wilson, Henry and Dyack, very dynamic, very pacey in the field. That battle at the breakdown between Henry and Barkley could well be pivotal in the game, but far too easy. Got outflanked the Scarlets, run out of numbers, but really well executed by Ulster.
Just winning the contact, weren't they, Ian? Just that little 6-inch battle either side of the game line as they came around the corner. There were double tackles waiting, and yet every time, be it whichever back row it was, be it Henry, Dyack, Wilson, even the fullback Ludick, every single one of them just won the 6 inches, the 12 inches, got him over the game line, which means Marshall is picking up a quick ball and you're round the corner going forward.
Yeah, the yards after the tackle, after the initial hit, the leg drive, so important in the modern game.
Ian Humphreys' kicking percentage was 67% for London Irish last season, but it looks like he's been working hard in the off-season. What a fine conversion that was as he pots between the pans here at Scarlets.
Breathless start to the game, exactly what we'd have hoped for at an opening game of this year's tournament.
2 Shingler brothers on the bench for the Scarlets, and big Nick Williams, the Grizzly, to come on for Ulster. Luke Marshall and Andrew Trimble there as well. Irish internationals both, of course. Now Michael Allen and Gilroy in for Bow and Trimble today. And side entry, says Peter Fitzgibbon, against the Ulster men, and this most definitely in a very kickable position for the Scarlets, and it's been a spectacular beginning to Sky Sports Pro 12 coverage. If it's like this all season long, I think we shall be riveted to our HD screens. Big challenge for Priestland these days with the form of Dan Bigger in that 10 shirt for Wales. Jan, you were on the tour to South Africa in the summer, and Priestland, he was first shout at 10 for a while, but you've certainly got options there.
Well, the incumbent is Dan Bigger, and now Rhys Priestland now has to convince the Welsh management that his form is back, his confidence is back, and in his prime he's a really talented 10 who takes. Will was talking later on about Ian Humphreys attacking the gain line. Well, Rhys Priestland has always done that, his ability to bring the big Wales ball carriers onto the ball, and now he's got Scott Williams and Regan King to capitalise on that as well, but he needs that confidence to throw through his veins.
Big believer that form can be temporary but class is permanent, and Rhys Priestland has that that imponderable, the intangible time on the ball, that ability to see things in advance, phase after phase, and they can get him fit and confident again. There's no doubt he'll really push bigger for that turn jersey. I've always been a big fan of Priestland when he's playing well.
And the confidence in the kicking helps his overall game plan as well. But you like seeing outside half so we're comfortable in traffic. When the bodies are flying on everywhere, someone's composed. And when you have the steward, the navigator at 10 being composed, that helps the team enormously.
Interesting, Stuart Olding with that left foot of his taking the restart. He took the kick to the corner a short while ago that led to the line out that ultimately resulted in the try for Ulster, and Stuart Olding is full of energy after that break. They're almost having to try and slow him down in the pre-season games and training. So much was his ebullience, almost over the top. But great to see him back after a harrowing 10 months out. Now here's Ian Humphreys, and again that little short flat ball trying to bring the midfield into action. Jared Payne and Stuart Olding in harness there. Here is Paul Marshall. Good pick up, and here is Robbie Diakab as Humphreys off the toes. Paul Marshall, zippy little scrum half. It is on Stuart Olding, is through here, and Stuart Olding, was that a tap tackle or a trip? If it was a tap tackle, it was superb, but there's still a great chance here, and it's an easy run to the line for Dan Dewey, and both second row forwards have scored now, and it's all about the quality of the phase play and then the thundering finishes from the locks.
The phase play really been really dynamic from Ulster, and he brings in their ball players onto the ball in two hands, gravely quick feet from Olding, who's had such injury problems over the past season or so, but ball in two hands, identifies the forwards, splits between the middle, and a desperate tap tackle just stopped them for a moment, but they keep their composure really well, and then good running angles. Once again you saw Franco van der Merwe, now you've seen Dan Tui picking lovely angles off the ball carriers.
Defensive issue at the moment for Scarlets, isn't there, Jan, in that the ball carrier flat to the line with two hands on the ball with inside and outside runners. Just a bit of confusion as to who's got the ball carrier, who's got the inside and outside runner. They need to sort that out very quickly. Man up, early shouts, early communication, and come up straight. And in terms of Olding, he's having a cracking start because they've moved Payne, who's suddenly turned themselves into an outside centre, and I've always been a big fan of Luke Marshall, so it's sort of 3 into 2, 4 into 2 won't go in that midfield for Ulster, so everyone's desperate for places with the new boss in charge.
What defences hate is doubt in their mind. Ball in two hands will always petrify defences. What do? Do we stay? Do we push? Do I have comfort in the man inside me knows what he's doing? Has he got the press going right at time? Confusion and lack of communication from the Scarlets, and Olding was able to capitalise.
It's been a big week in Wales. The NATO summit taking place in Newport. Wonder has Barack Obama stayed for the game. To help our cameraman, he will be between the two men talking into their sleeves.
I thought the police escort was for Ian. Police everywhere on that M4.
No, police escort's for you.
Would you believe there were 10,000 police drafted in for that NATO summit?
Very happy with the overtime, I think.
I think Barack should have stayed for this game, the start we've had here. He might have thoroughly enjoyed an introduction to Rugby Football Union. Ken Owens, the newly installed Scarlets captain. And that's Johan Schneemann. Good, crisp, clean line out. And straight through goes Johnny Barclay. There are holes in both defences in this opening 15 minutes. Here's Gareth Davis. Regan King rarely makes a mistake with ball in hand. Priestland out wide. Oh, it's real strong work by Ken Owens. And now it's Jake Ball. Made a real impression in a Welsh shirt last season. Now Scott Williams bringing Liam Williams into play, the Welsh fullback. There's a knock forward here by Ulster, so the advantage will be played to the Scarlets. Regan King, and again there's the room on that outside if the Scarlets can keep their handling crisp and accurate. 2 knock-ons in the end, and we will come back for the first, and this is breathless stuff.
Short line out. We haven't been entertained by a really fast-moving game, but the defensive coaches will have palpitations at this moment. Far too easy for the attacking side to make pass. But this is one of the reasons Ken Owen's been selected as captain. He brings in dynamism, good ball carrying ability. He leads from the front, really dynamic when he gets the ball in hand, really breaks through tackles.
Bad miss from Roger Wilson from that line out, really poor, numbered up off the top. Just a slight deviation in line from Barkley. But as Ian says, far too easy to make that break. Ken Owens, yep, he's all over the park. He'll understand that Hibbard's gone over to Gloucester, had a very poor start last night to their campaign. 12 months in advance of this World Cup, there'll be so much focus, so much pub chat down here in West Wales, back down in London, up in Edinburgh, who's making which squads, who can have a charge. And I think Ken Owens in great place certainly to be in that Welsh squad and pushing for that starting number 2 jersey.
10th year at the Scarlets for Ken Owens. Started both tests against South Africa in June, so he is in possession at the moment. Ulster new signing on the tight head, Vian Herbst. Apparently, I didn't see the game, but my sources reveal that he gave Cian Healy a very hard time in the time that he was on the pitch.
Well, 3 of last year's starting tight 5 have moved on, and Rory Best either. So Ulster will want this new tight 5 to bed down really quickly.
Rory Best being rested for this one, so Rob Herring plays in the middle of the front row. Another man who was capped on that summer tour to Argentina. Another South African-born gentleman capped on that tour, as was Robbie Dyack in the Ulster back row.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
So Gareth Davis
Use it.
feeds. The Scarlet scrum was very powerful last season. Here goes Reece Priestland. This time the tackle is made, and there is a knock-on in that tackle, which goes Ulster's way, and Marshall gets the ball back to his out half off his weaker foot for Ian Humphreys off the right this time, but he does find his touch.
Midfield scrum's always such a good attacking opportunity, especially with someone like Priestland. That's great defence by Paul Marshall. He knows his first job on that right-hand side as a defensive scrum half is to take that first man on the right-hand side. Then there was tremendous patience from those outside. It looked easy, but under pressure with someone like Priestland attacking that line, tremendous work from Ulster.
Temptation's always there to dive in as the outside defender, and you have to bide your time.
Owen Schneeman's working well, as is then the addition of John Barkley, because that's the second crash through the Ulster defence that he has made off quite a similar move. Now it's Liam Williams. Picked up a red card against Cardiff last season, if you watch the Judgment Day game. And there's a knock forward. Ulster looking to take advantage of the advantage here. Jared Payne, and that comes off the outside of his boot, and just a little bit short of sublime from Payne on that occasion.
Yeah, so that needed to go downtown from Jared Payne there. Bags of space, turn over ball, move that ball away quickly to the outside channel, either keep the ball in hand. But once again, Roger Wilson been guilty perhaps of over chasing and then looking back on the inside. Good angle once again by John Barkley, really picking our angles really well. But that offload, not quite, and that takes a bit of time. You know, a couple of warm-up games out are one good thing, but to match the intensity of a real rugby of this sort of level, it's very difficult to do in warm-up games.
Here's big Rory Pittman, 19 stone, signed from Wasps. Another advantage, they've given the ball away, and here is Jared Payne. And there's another knock-on. So both sides just taking time to settle into their rhythm, even in this on this perfect pitch in these perfect conditions. Quite a high count in terms of knock forwards.
Yeah, I think Both coaches will be pleased with the energy shown by both sides and the pace in the game, but they will be concerned and worried and frustrated by the number of unforced errors. Ball being lost in contact, ball being passed forward, knocked out of hands and so on.
And coming up after this game will be a rematch of last season's Celtic League final. Glasgow Warriors against Leinster. Leinster showing huge big match temperament in that final and brushing Glasgow away in the end with a convincing victory. But this one's at Scotstoun. Glasgow Warriors very impressive in recent seasons under the coaching ticket that's headed by Gregor Townsend. Scarlets 6th last season, 15 points adrift of the playoff places. Last made the playoffs in the 12-13 season after finishing 4th, and they lost to today's opponents Ulster at Ravenhill in the semi-finals. Scarlets 5th the previous 2 seasons, so that's been their sort of template, if you like, 4th, 5th, 6th in recent times, and obviously they'd love to make the playoffs again this season and kick on from last season's 6th place finish.
It was a solid showing last year. It's so competitive. A lot of sides in the Guinness have really added to this squad, so competition is so intense.
Alan Clark, the Ulster forwards coach, let's get a word from him. Alan, your thoughts on the way your pack has started, the way your team has started in general?
Yeah, like we've had limited ball, but the ball we've had we've used well and obviously converted that into pressure, but we need to tighten up a little bit in defence and try and get a bit more hands on ball, bit of pitch position, and then sustain some pressure in the opposition. At the moment we're onto the cosh a bit too much in our own half.
Tighten up defence, that's for sure, but certainly when Ulster have been going forward, going through the phases, they've looked impressive with those 2 tries from Chewy and Van der Merwe, but they've given away another penalty here, and the key thing is that it's in a kickable position. Although the Scarlets have decided to go for more. They've gone for the corner, they've made the call for the line out.
I think the challenge for the Scarlets now is to make the most of the territory they're enjoying. Good quality ball off the set piece. Problem's been in ball retention when they get into the contact area.
Well, the line-out's been brilliant so far from the Scarlets. Here is Ken Owens, but again, a knock-on. That's been a real facet of this game. The number of knock-ons is beginning to rack up.
Those are all the frustrations, Robert, at the back end of pre-season, where some of the games have been semi-opposed, under control, everything feels great, the world is a rosy place, and then someone smacks you in the face, gets an elbow, treads on your toe, and suddenly keeping hold of the ball is a lot harder. So it's these early season games, you're never perfect in any way, shape or form. It's the sides that can limit those number of errors that tend to put themselves in a position to go on and win games.
The Scarlets have won their last 6 home Pro 12 games. Ospreys the last to win here in the league. Ulster winning with a try bonus point the last time these two met, but that was at Ravenhill in March, or the Kingspan Stadium as it's now known.
No pressure till the ball is fed.
There he is, Vian Herbst.
Same scrum.
No John Afoa this season, of course. He's gone to Gloucester. No Johan Muller, no Stephen Ferris retired, no Paddy Wallace retired, now a Sky pundit.
Tom Court also moved on.
Crouch.
A lot of the sort of boiler house of that Ulster set piece have moved on.
Well, he wants a quicker put in there, the referee Peter Fitzgibbon from Paul Marshall, so he's penalised the Ulster number 9. Free kick to the Scarlets. And it's Gareth Davis, so there's a little training ground move underway here. Ken Owens, here's Rory Pittman trying to use that 19 stone, and coming round the corner from the Scarlets forwards. Here is Rhys Priestland hitting the ball hard. Now Scott Williams back after reconstructive shoulder surgery. Ken Owens, this incredibly strong, powerful, mobile Scarlets hooker.
Stay back.
Gareth Davis. And this is McCusker. Davis again to Reece Priestland. Regan King, little delayed pass, bringing Liam Williams into the play. And it's Michael Allen who makes the tackle. Tangi Thaki Bow clears out. Phil John, over 250 games for the Scarlets. Driving in, now Scott Williams again. Once more there's a sense of space here for the Scarlets. Scott Williams deciding to delay. Off goes the very dangerous Gareth Davis. Great tackle by Stuart Olding. And he's a really physical defender. And here is Rory Pittman, 19 stone. Take a bit of that, Ulster. Did Rory Pittman do enough to ground the ball there? It was power all the way from short range.
Tim, can you hear me? Yes, this
is power from Rory Pittman, but finesse.
Okay, try yes or no.
From Regan King as well. The pass was sublime.
The first instances from up here, it looked like he'd scored it. The slow-mo there, you were in a little bit of doubt. Played at full speed. As he put it down on Payne's boot, Gilroy's boot, and he's put it down on the boot try, 100% try, downward pressure on the white line. That'll be a 5-pointer. Great finish.
Okay, Fitzy,
yeah.
Can I just have... Yeah, keep checking, yeah, until you're ready. Make sure you're ready.
So it's Jared Payne's left boot that comes into frame there. Does he put it down on his boot initially, but then rolls it down? Try.
It's a try for me. Terrific.
Okay, I have
strength
from
Pittman.
Yes, Tim, go ahead. You may want to try.
I think we all agree on that one, that that is a try by Rory Pittman. And yes, he has made an impact. Is he going to be the new Ben Morgan? He's going to have to fight hard for that number 8 shirt with Chris Halahufia. Not quite up to match fitness right now, but Pittman looks like he might be the real deal here if he keeps on playing rugby like that.
Yeah, the pass was the key aspect for me there. Yeah, plenty of width from the Scarlets. They held on to the ball, which they've had trouble with so far in the game, but the pass from Regan King and initially the pull-back pass from Reece Priestland, they're the one that pulled in defenders and allowed an opportunity for Pittman to score out wide.
Super try. Scott Williams did a dummy and go because that's his strength. Still a good pass, but his strength is to straighten and take out defenders. Regan King is much more confident. Yeah, he's a good ball carrier, but again, draw players on. So it's that balance they're finding at 12 and 13 that's going so well together at the moment. It's a cracking finish, a super try. And look, it might be 2 or 3 phases later. There might be a couple of indiscretions in between, but that's a 7-point gamble. We must remember that came from a penalty early on that they turned down, and it's a successful 5-pointer, potential 7-pointer.
Can he split the famed saucepans that sit on top of the Scarlets posts? And the answer is an unequivocal yes for Reece Priestland. Both of these sides previous winners of the Celtic League before they introduced the playoff system. But what a start to our first Pro 12 game. Tries all over the place. Here's Pittman.
The Scarlets 17, Ulster 12.
Johan Schneiman. Scott Williams clears. He's got a few screws in his shoulder as Scott Williams just... Oh no, he was... The ball must have been passed back into the 22 there, so not able to go... Yeah, not able to go directly for touch because Rory Pittman took the ball out of the 22.
That's a poor exit strategy from the Scarlets if that's the case. A lot of confusion. You had people forward standing in outside half position and vice versa, really confused, and that's allowed Ulster a great attacking position now.
Some good defence in there by Ken Owens, just driving Robbie Dyack back. Here's Stuart Olding. Paul Marshall, Dan Toohey.
And away now, 12.
Marshall to Roger Wilson. He's had his defensive issues, trying to be strong in attack. Now Humphreys, Jared Payne, Here goes the 32-year-old now, Ian Humphreys, but he's still got those twinkling feet. Ulster very lateral here, and the lateral work has worked, because Olding has managed to get through that defence, and then he gets hammered from behind for his pains. Here is Franco van der Merwe. Now Jared Payne out wide. Here's Roger Wilson. Looks for Louis Ludick. Oh, Louis Ludick is over.
Time off.
Beautiful soft hands from Ulster, and Ulster feel they have scored a third try of the half. Again, Peter Fitzgibbon wants this checked, but some soft defending and some cute finishing combined.
Tim, can you hear me?
Well, we watched René Ranger last night be brilliant for Montpellier against Cast. Olding in a centre position as well is unstoppable today. But my first view on this is, yes, there is contact made by a supporting runner. Do I feel that a defender was taken out?
Okay, I'll put the first one up on the screen for you.
No. It's well before this. Yeah, there's no problem there. It's when Olding goes into the midfield and beat 2 or 3 people. Someone came short, and he does go around the back of him. However, I felt at the time when I saw it live that you have to absolutely be sure you've taken a defender out of the game.
I agree with that. I think it was the phase before, and there might have been some doubt.
So an attacker comes from the right-hand side of the screen. No, absolutely no. It's 2 Scarlets defenders running into each other. The hooker did come short, Rob Herring. Didn't take anyone out. No contact made with anyone. That is a great try. Here he comes, right-hand side of the screen.
This is it.
Doesn't touch anyone. No. 2 defenders take each other out. That should not be a disallowed try. Otherwise, you're never going to allow a dummy run in your life.
That's fine. We're playing on from that. That's okay.
See the second one now, please.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Can we have the second one, please?
Well,
yeah.
The first one, there's no effect on the tackler.
Wrong.
He just missed the tackle, so that's fine. Okay, now we're checking the second one now.
Well, the officials this season have been encouraged to trust their judgment more and refer less to the TMO. Only going to the TMO when they're absolutely certain that they need it to define whether or not there is a try.
Yeah, no
or
problem.
not a try
fine, Tim. Forget
in
about
this
it.
instance.
Yeah. The
key from an attacking coach is to try and get guys to run angles that put a defender on their heels. That put Ken Owens on his heels, but it didn't force him to make the tackle.
That's
Which
okay,
case, there's absolutely
that.
nothing wrong with that, in my opinion, Jan.
No, nothing wrong at all with it. Stuart Olding has been a thorn in the Scarlet side in the game so far. Very strong, very low centre of gravity, keeps the ball in 2 hands, very dynamic, the step in as well. But is there another bit of shepherding? No, not for me. I think they're perfectly fine. The try should be awarded, to my mind.
Reece Priestley, I think, was looking at a potential intercept, dives in short on it, puts his right hand to grab it. Yeah, makes contact with an Ulster player, but that's Reece Priestley trying to pick up the loose ball, not being blocked from making a tackle on Ludovic.
The reason, by the way, for encouraging the officials to trust their judgment more is to avoid the long stoppages and the repetitive TMO replays, which is what we're getting here.
Let's play on.
Not Nigel Owens. Nigel Owens is Ken Owens' favourite referee. We heard that on the hot spot on the rugby club, on the hot seat. But look, he's had his eyes on Herring. He then doesn't make contact with him. It's a lovely decoy line, and Jake Ball then clatters into Ken Owens, which makes it look as though something was going on.
This one here, number 14, obstruction.
They've given an obstruction. Well, my goodness me. We'll never see a try scored again.
I think there's a certain part of that says after making such an effort, they were obliged to find something wrong with that try.
Yeah, it's time on.
Which one is he? Just to clarify, Robert, which one is he giving it for? The second one in the corner, where he's saying Reece Priestley was obstructed
by Mike Allen. By Mike Allen. I didn't see it. I can't see that myself, and I think Ulster can find themselves a bit harshly treated.
So no try for the emerging Springbok, Louis Ludick, on his competitive debut today here for Ulster. Lovely soft hands in that movement, though, involving Robbie Dyack and Roger Wilson, that led to the eventual non-try, sadly for the men in white. Let's see if this line-out can continue to function at Cam McCusker takes this time. Here goes Rory Pittman. Again, big Phil John, been at the club for over a decade, but the Scarlets then come in flying off their feet, and it's Jake Ball who's penalised the penalty here to Ulster. A little bit of a buffeting breeze out there, but you would fancy that this one would be within the range of Ian Humphreys.
I think Jake Ball been pinged there for not supporting his own body weight.
Fascinating thing though, Jan, he didn't support his own body weight, but as he goes in over the top, he's there. There's no one to hit because he's the first man there. So he's 6'5" and he's 19 stone, and he leans forward. Normally there'd be someone to. He's no one to hit. It's their ball. Pedantic, I think, would be the officiating on that instance.
The difficulty as well is you make a different set of laws for someone who's of 6'6", as opposed to 5'10". So it's difficult, that is. But yeah, I thought that looked an outset a bit harsh once again.
Ian Humphreys with the strike. Yes. Great strike too by Humphreys, and 3 points for Ulster. Yeah, and don't give the IRB any more ideas about new laws. We don't need any more. Different law depending on your size and body weight. Think about that one.
He approaches the ball, there's no one to hit, he stays there, and the ref pings him. And he looks back on that in the video analysis. He's probably got a half-decent argument with the coach to say I was unlucky.
Here's Humphreys. And a good clearing kick by the former London Irish out half, Ian Humphreys. As I said, his third spell at Ulster. Played at the Madejski Stadium for 2 seasons.
Perhaps Jake Ball was penalised for his adoption of National World Beard Day that he's celebrating today, which I think Jan is also having a little go at, a little dabble.
Yeah, a little dabble is about it, actually. Not much substance to mine.
This is actually no surprise that Ian Herbst is coming off, because he's not quite up to match fitness yet. Didn't arrive from South Africa until quite a short time ago. So Ulster making a replacement in the front row will give Herbst the time that he needs to become fully match fit by giving him limited periods of game time. Here is Tanguy Thakenbauer. Gareth Davis to the bearded one, Jake Ball. Great ginger thatch he has. John Barclay, and again they look inside for the hole. Harry Robinson, the diminutive Harry Robinson. He's a short man and he shipped a high tackle there. Here goes Regan King. Wonderful player. How well he played in those seasons at Clermont, battling for the centre berths with the like of Rougerie and Benson Stanley and Wesley Fofana. But the referee's going to come back, Peter Fitzgibbon, for the high tackle.
It's a great effort for Paul Marshall to make a high tackle. What does he come in at in your stats, Mark? What is he, 5'7"-ish? 5'7". He's got the ball. So again, probably in Reece Pleaston's range, this kick, but confident enough with the return they got from the penalty last time they went to the corner to again set up camp in Ulster's half, in Ulster's 22, take their chances that they'll potentially come away with a minimum of 3, but go chasing that 5-7 pointer again.
Scarlets 2 wins in their last 9 against Ulster in the league. Both of those were here. So Ulster very much the upper hand in the fixture between these sides. They play in the same group in the Champions Cup in Europe in the back-to-back games in December. The first of those will be in Belfast. It's a tough group, includes Toulon and Leicester. Get out of that one. Ulster trying to get out of their own 22 through Marshall. Well taken by Michael Allen. Great hands in the air by the Ulster right winger. Now Ian Humphreys was caught a little bit late there, just a little bit. And it was McCusker coming in. Don't think anybody's seen it except us. Liam Williams downfield. Humphreys is fine though. Here is Louis Ludick. Oh, great take by Gareth Davis. There's been some wonderful work aerially by both sides in this game so far. And Johan Schneemann plays the world's biggest scrum half. Now Rory Pittman one of the world's bigger number 8s. Here is Regan King, not allowed any space at all by Payne and Olding. They know how dangerous King can be if he's allowed a bit of air. Got to deny that man oxygen. Here's Davis. Up goes Craig Gilroy. Scored a try in his Irish debut against the Pumas. Ian Humphreys. Roger Wilson, 33 now. Great experience. Not a great offload by Wilson. It's been a trademark of his game so far today against the Scarlets on this warm Saturday afternoon.
That's what they need. They just got a little bit laterals to just playing behind the gain line, dropping people off in, and then Wilson comes hard, short, busts that gain line, and then from there you can go and have an attack from the front foot.
Well, Olding has been sublime in midfield. 6 carries, plenty of breaks included amongst those carries from the Ulster inside centre. There's been a knock on by Ulster, but how impressive has the young fellow Olding been in his first competitive game back after that long injury.
He's been outstanding in the game, and really a threat whenever he's had the ball in hand, and he's capitalised. At times it's been a very fractured phase defence from the Scarlets. They're pushing up really quickly, but the guys on the inside are really detached from the guys on the outside, and he's capitalising in these gaps, holes. You can't allow a threat. As you go back now, is that kick, and I'm not quite sure how much contact from that angle. He was definitely late. Was that an elbow left out there? I'm not quite sure how much contact there was there.
I think he's pretty pleased that he missed it, because he's had a look and he's definitely thought about it, and Humphreys has just dodged it. Great feet from Humphreys there. He sees things well and late, doesn't he? Saw the space, wanted to go long left, the old Alex King long left-footed wiper from a fly half, changes, goes other corner. McCusker thinks I've got a sniff of a 10, and best thing happened there, he missed him.
Like seeing outside halves reloading quickly, getting back in positions. They have options, either a kick or a run or a pass. You have to get back in position quickly to give you those alternatives. Looking at the game as a whole, well, I found quite refreshing. Stepping, people stepping for contact, not just running. I know the conditions are nice and it's easy to change direction, but generally, rather than run into people, find gaps either side of them, stepping, pick different angles of running, really ask questions, probing the defence.
Great feet from Priestland at times. I've enjoyed watching Regan King. He just drifts down a ball, tiny little goose step as he approaches the defender. And as you say, they're finding tackles which are sort of elbow down rather than big shoulder contacts, which is allowing both attacking sides to get in and play really well with a positive frame of mind about what they're trying to achieve.
Ulster penalised the scrum. It's Declan Fitzpatrick on that side, on for Vian Herbst. Declan Fitzpatrick back after suffering from an irregular heartbeat issue at the end of last season. Very similar to the conditions suffered by South Africa's The Beast.
Scarlets, for the territory they've had, will want to make sure they can come away with some points just before half-time. Last time they had a penalty, went to the corner, Ulster stole the line out well, so it seems that Van der Merwe has taken on where Muller left off, and Tui's always been a class operator in that line-out. So Ken Owens just before half-time, 10-metre line. They've made busts when they've gone off the top. The key is they've got to win that first phase possession.
Ken Owens, it's quick, it's to McCusker. Don't waste much time at line-out, do they, the Scarlets? And once more, John Barkley being utilised as a very effective ball carrier. Ken Owens, good hands. Some sweet initial play by the Scarlets, but then side entry ruins it all.
There's no doubt in the off-the-top line-out work the Scarlets have looked at, they've identified Humphreys as a possible opportunity. We've blamed Wilson twice because he's missed the man going through, but it's what we talked about in terms of Les Kiss's biggest challenge. They've got talent, they've got class players. It's finding those combinations who trust each other when the bullets are shooting.
The Scarlets last season, their line-out really dominated by the driving ball. 40% was a catch and drive of their line-outs. Today they saw an intent to attack those wider channels off the top ball.
Herring to Franco van der Merwe. Now Roger Wilson hammers his way into John Barkley now. Paul Marshall gives the ball away to Jake Ball. Can they find a quickie? Can they find a quickie? They can find a quickie, and it's Gareth Davis. 10 tries last season in the Celtic League. The man who was the players and the supporters players of the year delivers in the first round for the Scarlets again and continues his amazing try-scoring record.
Top try scorer last season. He's got a poacher's instinct, but also the pace to make the most of this error, and it is an error. Back on the blind side, looking for a no-look pass. Again, the runners weren't there. Picked off by Jake Ball, and there was the scrum half, Gareth Davis. Great pace to get on the outside. The ball not in the correct hand, but he's backed his pace to get on the outside, stepped inside and finished. 10 tries last season, and a try in the first game of the season this season. Such an attacking threat.
Set-piece move from Ulster, go up the middle, go back to the short side with Marshall, hit up the runners, and Jake Ball's done his homework and picked off the pass brilliantly with a left hand. Mr. Tentacle just sort of stretched out the offload. Gareth Davis has so much to do. There's some pace chasing him there, real pace hunting him down. He's smartly taken try.
Should have seen in that blindside defence you mentioned there. Not be passive, not just stand there, keep the press. You never know what might happen.
Thanks. Last act of a blistering, scintillating first half of Pro 12 rugby. What an introduction to all our Sky Sports viewers. And Rhys Priestland finishes it perfectly. And it has been a top-class 40 minutes, guys.
Look, I think the territory possession-wise, Llanelli will be pretty pleased to go in 24-15. Ulster at the moment still trying to find their combinations working in defence, so Llanelli deserve the 24-15 lead.
A really exciting first half. The Stars will be relieved to have scored right at the very end. But hopefully for a lot more in this second half. Two sides have really showed great attacking intent.
Thank you, Simon. Back to Robbo.
Simon Easterby, great Scarlet, great Irishman, taking over from John Plumtree in October, I believe, to get ready for the November internationals, which you can see live on Sky. South Africa, Georgia and Australia. Stuart Olding, as has been his wont on occasions in this game, with the restarts and some of the long-range left-footed kicks to touch. Some of the Scarlets signings look astute this season. There was a new steal to their forward play last season. Question is, can the Scarlets make it to the knockout phase, something they achieved 2 seasons ago? You sense that would be quite an achievement. But yeah, are you happy with the first half launch pad to their season?
I think they've shown commendable sort of enthusiasm for the type of game they want to play. They want to get into those wide channels. It's about ball retention is probably the area of concern and frustration. But building on, as you mentioned, pack performance from last season really was marked improvement in that aspect. And bringing that equilibrium, that balance in the play is what Wayne Pivac want to do now.
Here it is, Louis Ludick, denied a try by a TMO decision in the first half. Rob Herring finds Craig Gilroy and Jared Payne under pressure from Tangi Thakibai. Now Michael Allen, who's driven hard by Johnny Barclay, the former Scotland captain. Here's Robbie Dyack. Now Ian Humphreys with a flat pass, sort of pass that might have been picked off. Here's Chris Henry, and there's been a little fumble by Ulster in their enthusiasm to make a fast start to this second half.
Well, both sides have utilised the pull-back pass well a number of times. Pull in defenders, pull them out of line to create the opening to either side of them. Just pulling the ball back, so effective. When you've got really committed defences, you pull the ball back, that creates the space, you attack that outside shoulder, and that creates the extra man well.
It's really key, though, when you're doing it, is trying to get effective decoy runners. And the key there is to get people running from deep, who come short, who don't take out opposition defenders and therefore not penalised. And it just puts defences on heels. And you certainly saw in the warm-up, we've seen in their pre-season games, and we're definitely seeing it today, that defensive systems are so well organised now. You have to try and find a way to put them on their heels, and these decoys and pullback passes are the current vogue.
And use the pace of that defence to put them off balance. I think that's the key there. Such energy in defences these days. You really want to really put attacking teams under pressure. But sometimes they can overcommit.
Gareth Davis and that Scarlet scrimmage there appear to be under a bit of pressure. They've got two new props on now, have Ulster, and Scott Williams finds some space, some grass, and Louis Ludick comes across and scrags Scott Williams into touch. Scott Williams back after that shoulder injury he sustained in collision with the great Brian O'Driscoll in the Wales-Ireland game.
There were some great tweets going on about that hit when Scott Williams hit Brian O'Driscoll. It was like O'Driscoll's made of titanium, wasn't it? I mean, Scott Williams gave Brian O'Driscoll absolutely everything, and Scott Williams normally cuts people in absolute half. And you look behind and see what happened, and Dricko runs off, and Scott Williams is off for a shoulder reconstruction. Is there anything that man can't do?
And still has the screws at his shoulder to prove it, Scott Williams.
Right away.
Here is Marshall to Dyack.
Number 6. Leave it
Penalty
going out too.
Against
Number
Rob
6 not rolling clear.
McCusker. Another lack of discipline.
You look at Ulster's performance so far in this game. You know, there might have been frustrations with the Ulster management team and some of the errors they make in, and their inability to get hold of the ball. But one thing to be really pleased about is the dynamism in their phase play. Really good, quick ball being generated, which brings these ball carriers and their offloading game to the fore. The quality of the phase play just gives so many options to the halves, for Marshall, for Humphreys, to take the next phase, pick off their ball carriers, and that puts pressure and really stretches the integrity of the defensive team.
Off his chest. Play on, yeah?
No knock on, off the chest, and Liam Williams gets a lot of height on that kick and then chases. Very brave man is Liam Williams. And he's got good feet as well. He's a real little warrior, is Liam Williams.
Liam Williams and very brave go hand in hand.
Here is Regan King, and now it's Rory Pittman. He made a couple of handling errors in the first half, but he also managed to score a try and importantly hold on to that one. Regan King again, it's Phil Jones just bouldering defenders out of the way. And now they're on the front foot here. Here's Regan King, who tries to glide his way through. Gareth Davis once more, it's a big blind side. Liam Williams gets that offload away. In goes Chris Henry trying to steal the ball and does what he's done so well in an Ulster and an Irish shirt there, the Ulster number 7, and away come Ulster through Gilroy, and in contact he's knocked on, and this game has really broken up. Did Dan Toohey take out, I think it was Scott Williams who had pushed the ball through, and it looks like he certainly has. And Dan Toohey may be looking at a yellow card.
Okay, let's have a look at it.
Just after the kick. There in the scrum cap, number 4.
Scott Williams has dropped the ball onto his foot a couple of times now to good effect. This is something you showed you with Scott Williams, his kicking game, but very effective then to counteract an aggressive defence from Ulster.
Time is off.
Turnovers really hurting both sides, particularly Ulster. A little kick, and he was taken out.
Yeah.
He stepped in and dropped his shoulder. I think dropping your shoulder is the problem there.
Does he move? Does number 4 move? Does Toohey move? Stand still?
Time on.
I would have drawn the line at a penalty. I think a penalty, fine. Yellow card, I think that's a bit harsh. Right, he does block, but I don't think that's a yellow card.
It's the second little grubber through that Scott Williams had put through in this first half, isn't it? We talk about the massive hit on O'Driscoll and his huge tackling prowess. He's got a lot of skills in his locker. A lovely little left foot, saw the space there from the turnover, went for it, leading well.
Jamie Roberts and Jonathan Davis, the established Welsh centre pairing, but Scott Williams is one mighty backup at inside centre.
We've waxed lyrical about Stuart Olding several times, how dynamic he is. It's got his stepping ability as well. Regan King brings a different skill set. His ability to step inside and just pull the ball back, brings the ball on it, but it draws defenders. His ability just to attract defenders and keep that ball alive, keep the momentum going forward. That's what he is. Perhaps not as pacey as used to be, not quite a sort of energy around the field and dynamism around the field, but that skill set is still very evident.
It's what they've brought him back for. counterfoil to allow Reece Priestland perhaps to take himself out of a couple of phases. Regan King to be first receiver 2 or 3 times. He touched the ball 4 times in that phase.
Oh, danger! Michael Allen. And the ball is slapped down by Liam Williams there. Was it deliberate play on? Advantage to Ulster. Paul Marshall chips through, but then Ulster themselves knocked the ball on. I think again, Peter Fitzgibbon wants to go to the TMO to see if this was deliberate.
Yes, 15 red, correct. Number 15, please.
Oh.
15.
And went to the pocket, didn't it?
15.
He'd gone to the wrong pocket.
In case it's going to be a yellow card in the penalty.
Now he's found the right pocket.
15.
Now he's looking for the right person.
It's a deliberate knock on by you, slapping it down. It's a yellow card in the penalty.
And he's going to get that yellow card. A second yellow card in the space of a couple of minutes in this game to follow on from Dan Tuohy's departure to the bin.
And Regan King also took a big bang from that pass. Yeah, no look pass, the ball too much hang time. Again, the pressure came on from Allen. And that's the knockdown. That's been picked up by Liam Williams. Look at that. In real time, didn't look an awful lot, but again, both 2 yellow cards really. Probably they could question both of them.
It's a frustration for a coach there when people who comes in and he sees them go 27-15, Dan Tuohy in the bin. You take the long restart and then you go lateral, you go static and you throw loopy passes, and suddenly it's 14 against 14 again, and the scoreboard's back at a 9-point game, not a 12-point game.
What are you taught when you're growing up playing the game? When you're static, not to pass the ball across the line.
Yes, please.
Needed that Ulster from Ian Humphreys, and he delivers those 3 points. But bad news for Ulster is that Jared Payne has gone off. They do have a handy replacement though in the form of Luke Marshall.
So this is full speed. Here we go. There's the knockdown. Yeah, and you're a Welshman.
I'd question the first yellow card against Ulster. I'd probably question that one as well. Both.
So he's been involved in a fair bit of controversy, has Peter Fitzgibbon and his team of officials so far. The disallowed try from Louis Ludic, possibly top of the list. Here is Michael Allen. Good spin away out of the contact from the Ulster right winger. Paul Marshall with the clearing kick. 94 Celtic League tries between Andrew Trimble and Tommy Bowe. Players to come in later in the season. Trimble on the bench today, and Pittman doing well to stay on his feet there. Wrestled to keep his body off the ground, didn't he? Scott Williams inside to McCusker. They've used the back row pretty effectively of the Scarlets in this game. And in comes Chris Henry again, and legally through the middle, but they've reclaimed possession. Priestland. Ulster up really quickly in defence there. Gareth Davis to Priestland this time. It's the aerial bomb, and he is a man who can get a lot of hang time on a rugby football. Well taken by Harry Robinson, who scored the first try of this game in the opening stanza.
Just stand.
Back goes Gareth Davis. He's no one to pass to there, so you're on your own, buddy.
Some poor play all around, both sides there, guilty of giving the ball away very cheaply. Some poor decision making, poor kicking, very static play as well, put themselves on all sorts of pressure. But a general point really, see what you want from your 8. He's buying a bit of time for his teammates to come back and support the next phase, staying on his feet, battling, making good yards, and that buys enough time for the rest of the team to come back and to give him the next phase of possession.
He's carried very, very well today. He took his try excellently. He's done well at the base. There's been a couple of balls that have bobbled at the back of that Llanelli scrum, Scarlets scrum, and he's had a very, very solid performance. I think what we're beginning to see now is the fitness advisors will tell their coaches that they have the fittest team they've ever had, and they've worked even harder, and that might be true, but the first game, when it's absolutely league points on the line and you give everything, fatigue and the heat creeps in and the error count starts to creep up.
Ulster bringing on some replacements. Nick Williams is on. Even more salt and pepper is the Ulster Grizzly these days, and Roger Wilson is off and Andrew Trimble's onto the right wing. It's a big night in Belfast, by the way. There's a world title fight, Carl Frampton against Kiko Martinez in the Titanic Quarter, and some of the Ulster players have got tickets to that fight. They've got a 9 o'clock charter. They're hoping to make it in time and hoping that Frampton doesn't go the way of the ship. Here goes Nick Williams, as always, keeping the ball available in that massive mitt of his and straight into the action. Here's Fitzpatrick.
And he's caused the Scarlets significant problems in the past.
Franco van der Merwe
5 away.
involved in there. Now it's
Use it.
little Paul Marshall, Ruan Pinar starting for South Africa today in that defeat in Perth by Australia. And here is Stuart Olding, great first half he's had. And now on that little switch ball, here is Chris Henry, played both of the tests against Argentina in June. And now Nick Williams, even he with that 19 stones, doesn't get anywhere on that occasion. Now it's the replacement prop Andrew Warwick on for Callum Black, looking to explore the blind side through Craig Gilroy. And Andrew Trimble is penalised by Peter Fitzgibbon for side entry there. So Ulster attempting to build the pressure, and now the Scarlets get an easy opportunity to relieve it.
And they will frustrate Ulster. Is going through the phases nicely. Nick Williams involved, Olding, who's been probably the outstanding player on the field for me so far. As is Barkley, John Barkley for the Scarlets, who's been equally as effective for them.
Well, Johnny Barkley was a great man of Glasgow. He played over 150 games for Glasgow and 43 caps for Scotland as well, and his old side are playing next in the Guinness Pro 12. Glasgow Warriors, last season's beaten finalists against the team that beat them, Leinster, and we also have top 14 as well tonight. 7:30, 2-0, last season's double winners of Europe and top 14 against Bordeaux Begla. 7:30, Sky Sports 1.
Mark, it'll be rocking in that 16,000-seater stadium tonight, won't it, for Frampton? Barry McGuigan's put the fight on and Shane McGuigan coaches him. That would be a lively old place to be tonight. No wonder the Ulster lads want to be there this evening.
Yeah, Belfast used to rock in the days when Barry McGuigan fought at the Ulster Hall and the King's Hall, but Frampton has brought to Northern Ireland and to Ulster exactly what McGuigan brought in those days, and it's wonderful to see. And as you say, it's going to be some occasion down in the Titanic Quarter.
I did a 30-minute training session with Shane McGuigan. These boxers are different class.
Did you go to punch in?
Wait, someone then said to me they wanted me to do the white collar boxing. You know, when an ex-pro rugby player, but Frank Bunt's hard as nails, Eric Rush hard as nails. They wanted me to fight, right? Guess who they wanted me to fight? Wendell Saylor. I went, how's about no, and no.
What about Sonny Bill Williams? He's an ex-centre who boxes a little bit, professional.
Well, Johnny Nelson, one of our boys, he's come out of retirement, he's fighting. 47, I did the Tour de France stage with him. Unbelievable, he's coming out with scrapping.
There's a knock on the line out. You've sown a seed now. I want to see Sonny Bill Williams versus Will Greenwood. Catch weight, please. I'd pay anything.
Do you ever still dream? Yeah, genuinely. I mean, it's that's good.
Do
you ever still think one day? Do you bring your boots in the car just in case? Yeah, there's a shortage of wingers.
Don't be so daft.
Am I completely deluded? I still just maybe hope one day I can have another run out.
There's a serious shortage of geriatric wingers. If there's a cry out for them at some stage, Ian's your man.
Set.
Right, back to the action. Paul Marshall feeds this scrum. Remember, 2 fresh props in that Ulster front row. Can the Scarlets put them under pressure? And there's going to be a reset here. Two men of great experience in that Scarlets front row, with Phil John, I mentioned, made his debut for the Scarlets way back in 1999. And of course Ken Owens, who has spent a decade at the club alongside the youngster Rodri Jones, and Samson Lee to come back from that suspension after the headbutt in the Test series in the summer.
kind of thing that does go my muscle tone. Not that I have an awful lot when I played anyway, but things hurt. You fall on your backside, it hurts.
You hurt him, Mark, by talking about geriatrics. You hurt him.
Ian Evans, the old ruck inspector, I'd never insult him. Here's Nick Williams now getting that ball away with that one-armed release, which is a real trademark of his. Paul Marshall to Ian Humphreys, now Luke Marshall. Played with Darren Cave in the 12-13 shirts in the first test against Argentina in the summer. Will that be the way forward perhaps for Joe Schmidt?
Scarlets are really quickly on Nick Williams. They know how much of a threat he poses.
Ian Humphreys, and it's Trimble after this one, but as always far too deep and far too easy there for Michael Tangifakibau.
Yeah, nice idea, but well spotted by Tangifakibau. He read it all the way. Humphreys was back in the pocket, so the kick was always going to be an option open to him. Tangifakibau just dropped back and just read it all the way.
You get a sense in this game that Scarlets found themselves 27-15 points up, thinking the game's sort of under control. Ulster desperate to get back into it. Scarlets just sitting on the lead a little bit, and at the moment they're just inviting the pressure on from Ulster. The defence is holding, but you can't defend for 25 minutes.
Priestland put under pressure there by Paul Marshall. Good scurrying work there by the Ulster 9. Nick Williams, hard pass, well taken by Luke Marshall. Man who's suffered in the past with concussion issues, but back to full fitness, good to see. Here's Rob Herring, good offload by Herring, good angle from Trimble, good tackle from Ken Owens. And it's Robbie Dyack to Nick Williams. You've got to bring him down early. If he gets you across the game line, Nick Williams, you're in trouble. And the Scarlets have managed to do their job well there, and Williams didn't release.
Final of the past 10 minutes or so, Ulster are very much on the front foot. They're very much on attack time again. And we saw in the first half from the Scarlets, they were moving forward in defence. They're far more static now, far more pedestrian in the way they're playing. They're back on their heels both in attack and defence. You can't afford to do that. You can't just try and absorb these sort of hit. And now Ulster are back up to the full quota, 15 players.
Yeah, Dan Tuohy's returned from the bin, but you know the question has to be asked and has been muttered amongst Ulster fans in the close season. Have Ulster missed their golden opportunity to win significant silverware? Some big money signings have gone, men who were bought to deliver trophies, and they didn't deliver any silverware in that spell. The likes of Johan Muller and John Afor. Hands in the ruck by Ulster, so penalty to the Scarlets.
A bit more aggressive that time, the Scarlets on the front foot because of the Ulster defence. And they want to count down the clock now whilst they're down by one man.
Great drive by Phil John there. Good tackle coming in from the refreshed Stuart Olding. Nick Williams penalised.
I think that one could have gone either way, to be honest.
Heck of a turnover.
Just wait.
But a couple of penalties in rugby, you see how when you're coaching the kids and you're talking to young men coming through the ranks and how they've got to develop. Discipline is absolutely everything. They're on top. It's 27-18. Next score crucial. It gets them back within a score, or the Scarlets go 3 scores clear. 2 pens from defending on their own line, and Reece Priestland under pressure to make a clearance kick. It's only Ken Owens as a throw into a line out in the opposition 22.
Taken by Barclay. Scott Williams caused problems to this Ulster midfield throughout this game. Gareth Owen is on for the Scarlets. Michael Tangifakibau, who picked up an injury, has gone off, and that's Shingler into the play. Aaron Shingler, the 8 times capped Welshman. Now Priestland, not quite sure what to do there. Was he? And then he does make a decision, but there's been a knock on, and Ulster have the ball.
Priestland hoping for a runner to pick off an angle. No one came.
Here is Gareth Owen. Utility back. Looks like he's gone to fullback, has he? With Liam Williams on the wing. We'll work that one out in a second as the Scarlets attack through Shingler, and then Pittman again, showing good pace off the mark for a 19-stoner, Rory Pittman. Now Reece Priestland, good heavy thumping challenge on Rodri Jones, and Ulster get the penalty as Jake Ball seals off, in the opinion of Peter Fitzgibbon.
You know, Will talked about the energy levels at the first game of the season. It doesn't matter how much preparation you've done on the training field, it's about matching the intensity of real rugby. And it seems to be, from the Scarlets in particular, over the last couple of minutes, a drop off in energy. Not quite run into the holes they were in the first half.
Well, let's get a word from the Scarlets coaching team. Mark Jones, the backs coach. How do you feel the Scarlets have gelled today so far, Mark?
It's been a bit of a mixture, to be honest. We've shown some good stuff in patches, but we've been a little bit loose with the ball, and we've given Ulster, easy opportunities to score points. So we need to get the energy levels up a little bit, be a bit more accurate with our own ball, so that we can keep Ulster out for the remainder of the game.
Mark Ryan here. Do you put this sort of drop off in intensity down to sort of first game of the season, or more than that?
Well, no, I think there's no doubt there's been a lot of meters made in the game, yeah, and we were up at over 4K for some of the players in the first half, so there's some tired legs out there, but hopefully, with the injection of the subs bench, we'll finish strong and maybe finish here.
They might finish here, you're right, as Gareth Owen knocks the ball on, and what a phase of play that was. Excitement rippling all the way through it. The crowd were on their feet all the way, and how close the Scarlets were.
Great take from Liam Williams. He absolutely gives everything every time he takes the field of play. And then he hands on to Pittman, who's up to 14 carries now. What I like about Pittman is just no nonsense, isn't it? Yeah, there's rugby, we can sometimes overcomplicate rugby and talk about angles and systems. Actually, rugby's about desire and commitment, and Pittman today has just said, give me the ball, I'm going forward.
Well, since Ben Morgan left Scarlets to go to Gloucester, Scarlets have been missing a big, genuine ball carrier, robust, very physical, gets across the game line. And that's what you need sometimes. All about, talk about the ambition of going wide. You need someone to be direct and dynamic, to pull in defenders, to create those sort of mismatches, to create those little gaps in the opposite defence.
And you don't bring Regan King back unless you can win a gain line. Someone's got to go find him a gain line. Regan King doesn't run over the top of people. Scott Williams might do that from inside centre, but King wants to come round the corner onto nice ball, work with Priestland, try and put some of their bigger runners through holes. But that platform needs to be created at the gain line, and someone like Pittman looks to the manner born down here in this jersey.
They'll have to create their forward platform in this scrum. Like Phil John, he got the reception of a king as he left the field. He's been here 15 years, and they brought on young Rob Evans into the loosehead slot. And the first thing that happens is that Rob Evans, poor chap, the Wales under-20 international, is penalised. Ulster fourth last season in the league, 4 points ahead of the Ospreys. Made the playoffs before going out to Leinster. Tight semi-final, 13 points to 9. So the very least they'll be looking for from this season as Ulster is a place in the last four on the semi-finals.
You can saw the stats then, gain line success meters made so narrow. It's all about that try just before half-time by Gareth Davies.
Gareth Owen again, super stuff. Regan King, the hands inside. And it was Scott Williams who was involved, and now it's Liam Williams, Gareth Davis, Reece Priestland. And there was a chance there for Wood, but maybe the wrong players in the wrong places there. Regan King, the right man in the right place, but the little chip through was blocked, and it's Ken Owens going back for the Scarlets. Now Reece Priestland tries to step away. Then he gets his offload, and the ball goes backwards, and Ulster, through Nick Williams, go forwards. No better man in terms of going forwards is Nick Williams when he's in form. But a little bit of rustiness all around this pitch. There's a knock on there. Ulster forced to defend. He's very quick on his feet, is Paul Marshall, very quick in mind as well. And here comes Scott Williams once more. Is there a chance for width on this side through Gareth Owen? Oh, there's a hole through the middle, and now there's a chance for Liam Williams. It's going to take some furious defending here from Ulster to stop the Scarlets, and they will not stop the Scarlets. What a sensational one-handed offload by Pittman to Gareth Davis. who gets his second, and that was salivation all the way.
So many turnovers in this game. It's all about which side wanted to make the most of those turnovers. Scarlets able to play, get the ball out wide. Good play by Gareth Owen. Keeps the ball in two hands, just pulls in defenders. Liam Williams got stronger as the games wore on. Pittman, you mentioned earlier on, Robbo, at the breakdown once again, able to get the offload going. Plenty of numbers there to keep the momentum going. Get beyond that first line of defence. Really good work by Gareth Owen. Liam Williams carried strongly. Again, Pittman's calling for the ball. That's what you want, communication. And Gareth Davis is able to finish it off.
It's a wonderful offload. It is an absolutely wonderful offload. I thought Marshall had done really well to diffuse the situation, run back under pressure from Harry Robinson. The kick comes and there's 4 Scarlets. When they've had the big wins in Europe and had the big wins domestically, that's when they're at their best. 4 or 5 attacking, heads up, finding space, great width. Gareth Owen comes in, draws the man 2 hands. Super stuff. Great try. And you suspect at 30-18 this bangs over for a 16-point lead. Starts to get very, very tough for Ulster to score 3 times in 15 minutes.
Well, in the corresponding fixture last season, the Scarlets won here 17-9. It looks like they're going to win this one by a much larger margin than that, unless Ulster can launch some sort of fierce fight back here. That would have helped if Priestland have managed to get the extra 2 there, but not to be.
Well, that's the bonus point try for the Scarlets. But you got a feeling with 15 minutes left to go, there's more tries left in this game. Plenty of openings there. Defence is getting tired, and we've got as many genuine top-class ball carriers and ball handlers as these sides have got. There's going to be more points left out there.
Superb performance from Gareth Davis, who goes off. So that's 12 Celtic League tries in one season and a wee bit. Louis Ludic. Schindler in there trying to pull the man off the ground. Nick Williams. Here is Humphreys, trying to find an avenue to attack.
Away, Red!
Paul Marshall.
Advantage.
Ian Herbst has come back on for Ulster. Declan Fitzpatrick's gone off injured, so he will get a chance to build up his match fitness.
So Ian Humphreys come back inside there. Very rarely is there an opportunity, a window there. Defences will snap that up. He's got to pick his angle and stick to it. Crabbing across field is really very difficult to make inroads into any defence at this sort of level.
The penalty is a different thing, okay? But don't get involved after the whistle. Time out.
Ulster need to take a chance pretty quickly now. Spring in the step, the crowd's beginning to lift themselves, enjoying the sunshine, the potential of a home bonus point win. Ulster need to strike back quickly.
Inside, John. Yeah. Line for you. Give the space now.
Franco van der Merwe could have a lot of game time ahead of him, because Ian Henderson might be facing a hip operation. Henderson, who can play second row and back row, so he could be out for a while. Here's Stuart Olding again, those feet in the tight confines. Leaves his footwork late, doesn't he? Here's Ian Humphreys inside, and now it's Craig Gilroy. And Luke Marshall goes in to help. Need a try pretty quickly here of Ulster to make an impact on the result of this game. Dan Tuohy, try score in the first half.
Red, release it!
Paul Marshall. Left to Henry, and Marshall waits. Here's Ian Humphreys. Luke Marshall on the short ball, but it was a dummy run, and it's Craig Gilroy again. Here's Ian Humphreys, and it's Louis Ludic, and he's clean through there. Well, what a massive gaping hole that suddenly appeared in that Scarlets defence, and Ulster are clawing their way back into this one.
Well, for me, I think both these sides get more points is ball retention. You hold the ball long enough, go through enough phases, show some patience and accuracy in what you do, defences will crumble. At this stage of the season, both sides getting really leggy, and defenders are finding great difficulty filling those gaps well.
poor systems there defensively. I think it's Gareth Owen who came on and played so well to set up that try for Gareth Davis, but steps in, doesn't trust his inside, and that's what Ian Humphreys does, kid you. As he came round the corner on the front foot, he gets the second defender just sniffing, just facing in a bit square, and pops it in. It's a great angle from Ludic. He deserved his try in the first half. He certainly deserves his try this time.
This conversion's critical, obviously. Gap of 9 points. Got to get themselves to within a converted try. First target for Ulster will be a losing bonus point, then the next target might be the draw, and then you never know. A victory could yet be on the cards for Ulster.
I said there's still a lot of points left. There's a dozen minutes to go. That's plenty of time. Fatigue is a killer for all defences. This junction of the season, when you're still trying to get a terms of the players alongside you and your systems in place with the brand new defensive coach as well. Add fatigue to that. There are going to be gaps out there. There are going to be opportunities.
Doesn't look too well, Rhys Priestland. He's moving very slowly in a cumbersome fashion to the touchline. So Steve Shingler will come on. He almost became a Scot. Steve Shingler, there's a man who's very much a Welshman. Rhys Priestland with that long catalogue of injuries, and that is a poor restart from the Scarlets, immediately putting themselves under pressure here.
What's the truism? You can pound one error with another one. Straight in, and that's a good field position now for us. As you see, the disconsolate figure of Rhys Priestland walking very slowly. He's just head back to his seat on the touchline. And there were some doubts going into the game that he's going to be fit enough to play this. Some back issues going into it. It's in some distress there.
Scarlets began their campaign with a home match here at the Park of Scarlets. Last season, it's the 4th successive year their first game has been at home. Last season, the opening fixture, they got absolutely tanked by another Irish province, Leinster, 42-19. But they have won 4 of their last 5 matches in the competition. The defeat against Cardiff at the Millennium Stadium on the Judgment Day double-header. So they are in a good run in this fixture. But again, it's Angle, says Fitzgibbon.
Going back, standing up.
And against that Scarlets front row. So Stuart Olding with that strong left boot of his, hoping to spear Ulster somewhere close-ish to the corner flag. Harry Robinson, did he keep the ball in play? Not quite.
The beauties of sport for me. 32-18 up. Priestland's got a fairly easy kick to make it a 16-point lead to close the game out. A piece of brilliance from Humphreys and Ludic, a scrum pen, a kick straight out, and suddenly you've genuinely, Scarlets are desperate for the final whistle.
Ulster can certainly sniff an opportunity to steal a win here, and rightly so.
Rob Herring. Ulster will want him to play the full 80 minutes. Very inexperienced replacement hooker on the bench. Van der Merwe, Franco van der Merwe takes that line out. Well, can Ulster maintain this pressure on this at times porous looking Scarlets defence? Here's Olding.
He's been outstanding all game.
He was a troublemaker. Here's Luke Marshall, another one.
Rock!
Sets it well for Marshall, and it's Dan Tuohy on the crash. Again, the recycle is quick, and it's Vian Herbst in his second spell on the pitch in possession. Marshall once more. Here's Nick Williams. A real specialist from short range is Williams. And here is another try for Ulster, is it? Has Gilroy managed to get the ball against the base of the post?
Away, Red!
Not quite, but that must have been millimetres away.
Stay on the line.
What a tackle.
Paul Marshall, Chris Henry now, just being held up.
And away, Red, release!
Scarlets are puffing hard here in defence. Here is Ian Humphreys, and now Stuart Olding once more, and this is Louis Ludic. Ludic, a little dummy that wasn't quite bought by the Scarlets defence. Now Nick Williams goes from close range, 19 stones 3, they've got to hold that off the ground, and the Scarlets have achieved it. That could be a seminal moment.
An outstanding defence by the Scarlets on their own line. Seems though Ulster were destined to score. So close.
I thought Gilroy had scored. What a brilliant break, useful use of the ball from Humphreys. Uses the decoy nice. It's the pullback ball we've been talking about. Busts the tackle, steps, goes, and hits the post.
By that, Liam Williams really puts his body on the line there, puts himself underneath the ball, and then plenty of red jerseys there to stop Nick Williams. Takes an almighty effort to stop Nick Williams from that sort of range.
Great work. Was that Johan Sneeman doing his Superman routine? That reminded me of Paul O'Connell in the second test in Lions in Wellington. Just for everyone, all hands on deck.
Look at that tackle count, 55 tackles in this second half from the team in the lead. That shows you how much of the time they've spent on the back foot. Richard Kelly comes on for the Scarlets, and as Will said, the man who did the mini Superman act is the player replaced, Johan Sneeman.
As they're using Nick Williams to great effect. Pulls in, so even he doesn't make significant yardage, he pulls in 3 or 4 defenders, and that creates the opening a little bit wider for the other ball carriers that come in. He's a magnet for defenders.
Bind. Set.
Rodri Williams is the new scrum half. Big scrum list for Scarlets. They have conceded a couple of penalties at scrum time recently, and they certainly couldn't afford to concede another one there. Here is Williams, and it's Andrew Trimble, won a whole raft of Player of the Year awards last season. Louis Ludick, Gilroy. In comes Scott Williams, and Francois Fontemerve finds Ian Humphreys. What happens next? Well, what happens next is Humphreys glides through a half gap. Here's Dyack to Ludick. Now Rob Herring. Luke Marshall, Ulster with all the possession in the last 10 minutes. Well, 89% of it to be precise. Marshall. Can the Scarlets resist the onslaught? 9th carry from Nick Williams already. He's already been on the pitch. Shows how important he is to Ulster, though, long term. Here is Ludick. Now Marshall. Strong man, Marshall.
Good yardage by Marshall there. Tackled behind the game line, but still made 4 or 5 crucial yards.
There's one chaser here for Ulster, and it's Stuart Olding, and down goes Williams, and Olding gets hold of him. In comes Rob Herring.
Stay back.
Rory Pittman. 17 carries for Rory Pittman. He may well indeed be a good signing, but there's been a ricochet from the Williams clearance. So Ulster have it again, increasing that percentage possession, but now the turnover, and away comes Liam Williams for the Scarlets. And with 5 minutes to go, that again could be critical, as was the moment whenever they held Nick Williams up over the line. Shingler, long way downfield to Louis Ludick. Scored the try that brought Ulster back into this game, gave them the opportunity. Picked up by Fran de Merve. Dyack to Ian Humphreys, going to be corralled here.
Very narrow, tiredness seeping in there.
Marshall, Henry gets that offload away, and here is Marshall to Fran de Merve. And you're right, both sets of players, certainly the ones who started the game, are beginning to look tired now. There are plenty of fresh replacements on, though. Here is Chris Henry. You're going to need the energy of those replacements, you feel, in these closing 4 minutes. Humphreys, Olding, good little flick to Gilroy. Converted try would, of course, salvage a draw for the Ulster man. Marshall, Rob Herring. And Ulster playing with 14 men at the moment. Man down injured. Luke Marshall just crawls on. Marshall to Humphreys. Oh, the flick on to Dan Toohey. Good hands from the big second row forward. Ulster desperate to keep the ball alive here. They have to. with 3.5 minutes to go. They've got to get that try. Off goes Nick Williams again. There was no one to offload to initially. Now there is. Ian Humphreys. This is great work. Louis Ludick.
Brilliant offloading by Ulster.
Ulster go flying in there. It looked like they were off their feet, but the referee says play on. Here's Dan Chew. He's desperate to get that offload delivered to an Ulster shirt. Marshall. Humphreys inside this time to Stuart Olding.
And they're taking off the lazy runners as well. Every muscle is screaming, stop, stop, stop. All that work in pre-season.
Well, it's a game that's been played at a rattling pace.
Let him go, let him go.
There's been real, true non-stop rugby. And off goes Nick Williams once more. Rolls away. Nick Williams, carry number 10. Is it going to be the carry that delivers the try that Ulster need? Advantage for Ulster here. Paul Marshall.
Advantage now, obstruction with 15 left.
There's an obstruction advantage coming. And Ulster, surely numbers out wide. Chris Henry, oh, he's passed the ball to Regan King. He found a man in red when he desperately needed a man in white.
Yeah, I think Paul Marshall was taken out.
Fitzy, be careful, this is the second yellow.
Number 15.
And this is Liam Williams. It's the second yellow.
I need 15.
If it is, he's off.
You need to get number 15.
He's off the red card, mind you, with 3 minutes to go. Same effect.
Yeah, he picked up a red card last season, Liam Williams, against Cardiff. For a challenge alive, tough Bert.
Put him on the ground, okay, so that's a cynical infringement, it's a yellow card against him. Because it's a second.
Well, a draw now at this point.
Okay.
What a great attacking position for Ulster.
We've obstructed the scrum half coming in, that's a yellow card. Okay, and your second one's right.
7 points in it. It was a great attacking position for Ulster to snatch a draw. Breathtaking game. As I said, fatigue is settling. You see both sides getting narrow at times, lazy runners. It's about the side showing the most composure now, and obviously the heart to drive themselves home.
Well, it's certainly a memorable opening to Sky Sports Pro 12 coverage. Not a game we're going to forget in a hurry. And Liam Williams disconsolate, red carded. So what an opportunity, what a final 2 minutes for Ulster. The position in the pitch they are in, look at the margin, 15 versus 14.
Do you reckon that ball's going to come out of the scrum? Is Nick Williams going to let that ball out? He's made so many yards since he's come on. He's been on the field no more than 20-25 minutes or so. What an effect he's had.
It's Michael Heaney, the replacement. And it's picked up by Williams. Here's Heaney, and here is Andrew Trimble. He knows where he has to go. He's got to get as close to the posts as he can. So often a match winner for Ulster. Is he going to be the match saver for Ulster this time?
Well, 8-9-14. Good pickup from Nick Williams. Put Marshall on the outside. Trimble had the presence of mind to come round the corner as well to make that kick so much easier. But lovely hands, just pulled in two defenders. Everyone had a little bit of a nibble. Defenders jumped in. They needed to hold the width. Again, and that allowed Trimble to get across and make that kick a lot easier. And now the focus and attention is on Ian Humphreys. And well finished by Trimble.
Well, this is it. A heart-stopping first Pro 12 game on Sky Sports, and I'm sure the Humphreys' heart is beating just a little bit quicker. But he can calm down now, and the Ulster men can stand up and celebrate the comeback.
And what a comeback as well. Always had a feeling in the last 15 minutes, even without those that many points down, there were still tries on offer.
There is time for one more play taken by Trimble, try number 39.
Use it!
In the Celtic League. Heaney to Marshall. Well, they're not settling for the draw. They're still going, aren't they? Both sides. Here's Gareth Owen. Is there going to be a tumultuous finish?
Tackle
We thought
assist!
we'd seen that. There may be another. Scott Williams. Oh, the Williams on Williams. Nick Williams. And there's a knock-on by the Scarlets.
And might have been a penalty to Ulster as well. Picking up the ball.
Knock on
came
red.
off his Scarlets player.
Just wait on you, I can't hear you. It comes over. Just Yeah, nothing afterwards?
Was it picked up from that afterwards?
No, I don't think so. Okay.
No, nothing more to add to an absolutely fabulous Pro 12 game of rugby. 32 points apiece is the final score.
Oh, what an opening game for our Guinness Pro 12 coverage. Entertaining from start to finish, plenty of pace, plenty of intent, bags of attacking talent. Like Stuart Olding was outstanding for me for Ulster, it really was. Nick Williams, what an effect he had, galvanising effect he had when he came onto the field for Ulster. For the Scarlets, I think John Barclay's also been outstanding, but for me, my Guinness Pro 12 man of the match is Rory Pittman. So many carries, so effective, even from slow ball mid, good yardage, a nervous start for him. He grew into the game and he really was dynamic. So Rory Pittman's my Guinness Pro 12 man of the match. An outstanding game of rugby, really enjoyed. Bags of tries out there, both sides will feel they're going to gain something out of the game, but also plenty of areas still to work on. Ball retention, both sides will need to be worked upon. Both sides have shown a willingness to play really a good, strong, attacking brand of rugby.
Well, a game that mesmerised from start to finish. It's finished 32 points apiece between the Scarlets and Ulster here in West Wales. And Will Greenwood is with